Good morning. It's a real honor to be here today, and I'm very humbled to speak after such great speakers, and a little bit nervous as well. I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that everything that I'm saying today will actually reinforce what you've heard from the speakers before me. I'm going to speak a lot about passion, about courage, about heart, about determination, and little things that can really make a big difference. The bad news is that I don't have any slides, and I'm feeling bad now after some beautiful visuals to aid in the message. So that only means that you have to pay a little bit more attention to what I'm saying to follow along. Let's start with a little pop quiz. How many of you run? Yes, I knew there would be one hand, and it's going to go up again because my next question is, how many of you run marathons or half marathons? Okay, the numbers dropped a little bit. Has anyone tried to lose weight ever? Yes? Okay, now let's see. How many of you have actually kept off that weight for at least a year or two? There we go, the number dropped a little bit. I'm sure everyone here has a job except the students. Yes? How many of us have a job? Okay, not too bad, at least half the audience. How many of us wake up in the morning and are just dying to come to work, to our jobs? Not bad. A room with many, many courageous people. So before you throw eggs on my face, where am I getting to? What's the connection between these questions? What am I really trying to get at today? Today, what I'd like to share with you is my firm belief that in order to really win and succeed in your career, or actually in life, what it takes is to have a very firm commitment to long-term goals, to passionately pour that commitment into your work every single day, to persist against all odds, and to do that day after day after day after day. It sounds really easy, right? Easy or difficult? Yet, it doesn't quite happen that way, and I've seen that in my life. When you have setbacks or you have some failures, you tend to amplify them in your mind, and that actually prevents you from getting even further ahead. But what if you thought of those setbacks or those setbacks as opportunities for learning, and really started to pursue your passions without worrying about those little things that actually set you back? So today I'm going to share with you 3 stories from my own career, 3 actually significant setbacks that I could have had. And I want to tell you how I handled those, and perhaps that'd be a learning for some of us who may be in that same situation. So my first story is about being really passionate about your job and doing whatever it takes to hold on to it no matter what. So it's 2001. I was in San Francisco. I just graduated from SPGen. I had gotten married, and I moved over there to Northern California. It was the height of the dot-com boom. Everything was really, really exciting and vibrant in the valley. And I had just secured my dream job at Landor. Landor is a large global brand consultancy, super excited to be there, and very, very charged about the future. My first week at Landor was great. Everything that I'd expected was happening, and I just couldn't wait for what was to unfold. Then, at the end of that week, suddenly, my colleague called me, and she gave me a tip-off. She said that things were actually not going so well at the company. For the first time in its 60-year history, there were going to be layoffs. The dot-com bust was starting to happen, and new business wasn't happening. The phone wasn't ringing, and 20% of the company's team was going to be laid off. That's almost, there are 300 people. So you can imagine 20% is a significant number. My heart sank. I was totally devastated. I had this great job, but now I knew I would be on the list because I was a new person, and I just couldn't sleep the entire weekend. My stomach was churning. I thought of all the possible scenarios of what could happen. Come Monday morning, I get to work, And miraculously, I actually survived the layoffs. I still don't know how and why. But what ensued was really, really stressful. You know, the company was like a ghost town. So many people had left. The spirit had fallen. We didn't know what to do. And there were days when literally we had nothing to do. And I was dejected, feeling really bad. And this could have just gone on, and I would just have aimlessly, just been at work every day waiting for the sentence to be served on me. But a chance conversation with my husband actually turned things around. He really gave me a wake-up call, and he said, stop moping around. Don't try to find a job, any job, when you actually have your dream job. What are you doing to hold on to it? And this was a real wake-up call for me, where I went to work the next day feeling like an Energizer bunny with a different mindset, and I started speaking to all my senior colleagues and offering my services. This was a time of real despair. We didn't know what to do, how to win new business. And I threw myself at everyone and said, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Small task, big task, strategic task, tactical task. I was even willing to go across the road and deliver packages if that's what it took. Interesting, right? You just give yourself up and think about doing whatever it takes to do. The most important thing is I brought this amazing positive cheer to the environment. Did it make a difference? It was a small little thing. I survived 7 rounds of layoffs consecutively. Was it those small little gestures, the positive attitude that made a difference? I'll never know. But I survived, and as I think Ratika said, I've been at Lando for 15 years. Small little thing that could potentially have made a huge difference. The second story that I wanted to share with you is about ego. And it's really about not letting ego get in the way of work. This was now 2006. I was working in our London office. We just had pitched and won a mega branding project, a very exciting one, the rebranding of Jet Airways. And being an Indian, I was super proud and excited to be part of this. Jet had huge ambitions. They wanted their brand to be global. They'd hired Lando. We were going to work closely with Naresh Goyal himself in his London home. So everything was really exciting. I started off as a client director on that project. 2 months into that project, things were going really well. Then I had to go for my cousin's wedding in Bangalore for 2 weeks. Went for it, came back, and I was booted off the project. I don't know why. There was no logical explanation. Maybe somebody else on the team wanted to be on it. Maybe my performance wasn't good enough. Maybe I wasn't the right person for the job, but it wasn't explained very clearly, but I was off the project. This was emotionally even more difficult for me than the potential layoff had been, 6 years prior to that. I just didn't handle this well at all. I was put on some other projects, and I didn't have that passion and that energy because I was really hurting inside. I would see the Jet team working away. I would see them brainstorming, and my eyes would well up, and I was feeling so deeply wounded and hurt inside. But that voice inside, which I had started honing after that incident of almost being laid off, came back to me and spoke to me and said, you're not passionate about Jet alone, you're passionate about branding and what branding can do for businesses. So forget that incident aside and pour your passion back into the other projects. And actually, I was put on a big telco merger. This was Alcatel and Lucent who were coming together, and we were rebranding Alcatel-Lucent. And actually, in hindsight, that relevant project, that experience, and everything that I gained has served me far better in my career than perhaps Jet would have. And I wouldn't have ever been in that position had I not been booted from the Jet project. My third and last story is actually about the emotional resilience and the doses of optimism that a leader needs to have. Because what the leader feels and the mood of the leader goes right down the organization. And so you have to really be careful about how you project things, your body language, because the team is really picking up on that. So this was 2012 now. By now I had established Lando in India. We had double-digit growth. We had acquired marquee clients. We had grown the team. And then the slowing economy caught up with us. Anyone remembers 2012? There's really nothing happening. And it was a hard, hard time. I had serious pressure from my bosses, and Sunil will, sympathize with me here. We're part of WPP company, which is financially very savvy, which also means that there's not a whole lot of long-term patience for a business that's not doing well. And the business was floundering. So what do you do in this situation? It was probably one of the hardest things that I have to do, but I actually had to let many people on our team go, or as they say, retrench. The tables had turned from being on the layoff list almost to actually determining that list. It was absolutely the most stressful thing that I've ever done in my working life. Having to deal with very delicate and fragile emotions of telling people that they no longer had a job, to trying to have a sharp strategic mind and thinking about where that growth is going to come from. And like I said, displaying that confidence without not showing that pressure and trying to be calm and navigating through these waters is quite hard. And it comes back to my SPGen training, which, as Dr. Ranjan pointed out this morning, the courage and the heart to really continue to persist, to persevere. And actually, it was in this situation of crisis that I suddenly thought about, why are we so focused about India and complaining about India and India not having any opportunities? What if I just expanded my playing field? I'd been reading about Sri Lanka and the massive growth that was happening there after the country had opened up, post the end of the war. So I leveraged many relationships, went down to Colombo, started setting up meetings, and tried to get my team to just win one project down there. We put all our focus and efforts to win, because we were not winning anything in India. And we worked hard. We also had an interesting opportunity with a brand called Cinnamon, a hotel group. We won that project. And I can't tell you how amazing that one little success was, because it transformed the team's own confidence. It was in a different country. But after that, our business in Sri Lanka not only grew, and it's now a third of our business today, but in India too, the team got back that confidence back. And that made a huge difference. A happy team, a confident team is a winning team. So a little thing made a huge difference. That's the end of my stories, but what can you take away from my personal experience? That's always the most relevant part of any discussion, right? 3 things: passion, perseverance, and a positive mindset. So if we start with passion, going back to our first speaker and what she said about the why, I think the why is really the most important thing. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we love certain things and not others? Why do we wake up every morning? What's our reason to be? Find that, and that can be the real guiding light, the northern star that grounds us and brings us back to that passion every day. The second one is about persistence and having the grit to persevere. Never give up on our dreams. In this world of instant gratification, it's really easy to be carried away both by our successes or dejected by our failures. But I would say that you should actually reject both extremes and just persevere slowly and steadily towards these long-term goals, which will actually make us happier. And finally, embrace every day with positivity that you can muster from deep inside. Because that really can make the difference between good or bad, winning or losing in any situation. And just to end, I know that John Maynard Keynes, the economist, said that in the long run, we're all dead. I think that's caused a lot of damage to corporate worlds and how we think. We have this extreme short-term thinking. But I much prefer this very inspirational quote that I'd like to read out from Iyanla Vanzant, an American spiritual leader. And this is what she had to say. The goal of life is not to win. It is to play the game with love. The rules of the game are to have a strong desire to win, Believe that you are worthy of winning, and have faith that you will win. And as long as you're alive, never believe that the game is over. Thank you.